Hey guys, how's it going? Today I want to talk about Bitcoin and what I think about the new price and like just like a historical perspective and where I think it's gonna go. Now the reason I'm doing this video and I haven't done anything related to cryptocurrency before is because some of my friends have been asking me about it. I always share like articles about cryptocurrency. I always share like videos about like miners, about like regulations and stuff like that. Now I'm not an expert. I'm just like I like it, but I mean I wanted to make a video just to answer some questions and just do like a historical perspective, on it. Now, first of all, for me, I started reading about Bitcoin when I was like in college, about 9 years ago. I remember the first time I read about it was a little bit before the Silk Road thing. So what happened? Bitcoin was being used for some illegal transactions, right? And like the FBI and the cops, they cracked on this website and they shut it down. So after that, Bitcoin was being used for transactions in that illegal website, and it's when it became like a little more mainstream. I remember at the time the price was around $10. And then after that, I remember trying to get into it, like thinking like, oh, maybe I should put $100 and see how it works. But I wasn't like super interested and I couldn't figure it out, so I was like, whatever. Okay? So after that, what happened was that a couple years passed, and what happened was that like I read about it again like a couple years after. I don't remember when or what was the reasoning. I think it's because it hit like $300, $500 or something like that. I think it was because some rapper or someone like bought Bitcoin, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Maybe I should jump into it. And I remember thinking, man, $300 is so expensive now. And I remember thinking like, nah, I'm not gonna jump into it because it's gonna be, like, what if it crashes? What if it goes bankrupt? So I missed my chance again. Now, a couple of years after, I think I remember it's when it jumped like from 1,400 to about $2,000, $3,000. And I remember I was like, wow. And I had a friend who was super into crypto as well. And he convinced me. And I was like, he's right. I remember when it was $10. I remember when it was $100. And now it's $3,000. I don't want to miss on this. So that's when I started jumping into crypto. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because a couple days ago, no, yesterday, it just hit $40,000 for the first time ever. Now, that if you think about it, that's crazy. That means if you had put, I don't know, $100 when it was $10, you would be, I think you would have like more than half a million or something like that. I really don't know. I haven't run the numbers, but it's just crazy. Or you'd be a plain out millionaire. Now, some people have been asking me, what do you think about jumping right now? Now, right now, Bitcoin is going into an upward trend. So, personally, I think Bitcoin, the way it has been handled lately, it has consolidated and become like a real asset to have. In the past, it was like an asset that people were like, oh, well, like, I mean, the government or the banks or companies don't care about it. It's like fake money, it's a Ponzi scheme and something like that. And I understand their concerns, I was a little bit like that as well. I was like, no, man, what if, all my money just disappears? Or like I put $3,000 and then poof, it loses all its value. Now, I feel now there's a bit of a difference because a couple of things that are going on. One, there's been, talk about regulation by the U.S. government. There has been regulation in other countries starting happening to it. But I think the biggest driver to this price is that a lot of investors are starting to buy into it. I know I read that J.P. Morgan Chase was like starting to buy some Bitcoin, and I remember a couple years ago they were talking a lot of crap about the cryptocurrency. The same can be said like about PayPal. I was reading the other day an article that like they are buying about 70% of all new Bitcoins being released. So that means there's less supply for the average Joe. Now, in like a span of 1 month, something like that, it went from 14,000 to 40,000. That is crazy. Now, people ask me, is it a good time to buy right now? I would say the same thing that I would say to myself like 10 years ago. I think Bitcoin, the way it's being handled right now, and the way it's going, and the way it's being more widely accepted by major institutions, I think it's always gonna be a good buy from now. Well, not from now on, from always. Because in the near future, I don't see it going away. Mostly because big corporations are starting to jump in, and there's starting to be more control and more interest. Now I do think Bitcoin right now at 40,000 is reaching its peak for a little bit, and then I think it's gonna drop a little bit. I don't know what price. Just historically, that what has happened. Now the thing is, like, we don't know where that peak is gonna be and when the drop is gonna be. I remember I had some Bitcoin at I think it was like $800, something like that, and then it was jumping to, I think it jumped to $19,000, something like that, like 2017, something like that, $18,000. And I remember I was buying at that time, and then I remember it jumped to $19,000, and then like literally like 2 weeks after it went down all the way to 8,000, and I felt so dumb, right? So it's not like good for your mental health if you don't have like a lot of risk tolerance. For me, I felt like crap for a couple days, but after a while I was like, yeah, whatever. Now I made a mistake when it started going up into this bull run. Like, well, a little bit before that, I remember it reached like 14,000, something like that, and I sold some of it just to recover my initial investment. Again, that just for me to cover like my initial investment or something like that, a percentage of it. So the way I think about it right now is like, okay, this is Vegas money, and that's how I would recommend people to buy into investments like this, like Bitcoin or other high risk, high reward investments. I would see the same way as I would see like I don't know, like a stock like Alibaba, or like other emerging car markets like NIO or something like that. It's a high risk, high reward. So I would recommend, if you don't have a very high risk tolerance, just invest, like throw away money. Let's say you have 2,000 extra dollars, and you are like, well, I don't really need this money, or I don't care if I lose it, whatever. Then throw it onto Bitcoin. I do think in the long term it's probably gonna reach 100,000 or even more. I read some prediction, they say it's gonna reach 150, which sounds crazy, but then again, like, I think, like, man, I remember when it was at $300, $1,000, and thinking it was so expensive and so crazy. At $40,000, it might be a bargain still. Now, that's that for Bitcoin. Now, about other cryptocurrencies, like, let's say some other people have been telling me, oh, I'm gonna buy Ethereum, I'm gonna buy XRP, I'm gonna buy Moneros, or some other cryptocurrencies. I think that's okay if you wanna buy. A lot of people say like, oh, it's because Bitcoin is so expensive, and I've already like missed on the boat. Which, I mean, I don't think you have missed on the boat. I think you're still in a good time to buy Rolex. Like, a lot of people buy other coins because they're like, oh, I'd rather have one Ethereum that is cheaper, or I'd rather have more Moneros that is cheaper. I think it's just better to buy what you know than just to buy to fear of missing out. So if you know more Bitcoin, or if you have read more about Bitcoin, just invest in Bitcoin. If you have read about Ethereum and you feel you're confident that's a good investment, well, then invest in Ethereum. Just do due diligence. Don't just jump on it because everybody else is jumping on it. Because, I mean, like, the same way, like, everybody jumping on it, and then like a couple months later down the road it goes down, and you're gonna feel like crap. I do think that Bitcoin is a good investment long term. I do think some other cryptocurrencies are a good investment long term. Ethereum, I think it should be fine. The other ones, I really don't know. I heard Monero is pretty good too. XRP, I would personally not invest in that because I just don't know about it. And there's another one like Dogecoin, and I don't know other ones. Now, I'm not a professional, so this is just like my personal opinion. And that's it. I do think Bitcoin will maybe reach 100,000, maybe even more. So, I mean, that's it. And if you like this video, if you have any other thoughts or any other comments, please let me know. What do you think? Where do you think Bitcoin is going? Where do you think it's gonna happen with all this stuff? And yeah, and subscribe to my channel, like this video, and give a thumbs up, guys. Have a good one.